Hey, what's up, guys? So I had a interesting idea. We're gonna see how this plays out. But every once in a while, I like to go back down memory lane, and I like to look at a lot of my old trades. And it really kind of, for me at least, it really kind of a humbles me, and b it's always good to go back and remember where you came from. And a lot of you guys, over the last few weeks have been having some hard times. And when I tell you guys, hey, I've done that. I've been there. I've done those exact same trades. I feel like a lot of you guys have a hard time believing me. I feel like this is going to be a really good chance to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. And so, because I made these mistakes, at the very beginning of my career, these trades are from like 2020 or 2021. Like right before I kind of found a hot streak, in 2000, then 21 and 22 and 23 and, continuing on. But, you have to go through these struggles to kind of find yourself. You really, sounds really, I'm sure it's very repetitious. You start hearing, more experienced traders are like, you just get sick of losing. And you're like, yeah, okay, sure. Really, you truly do. Because once you start going back and looking at your trades, not just looking at your trades, but studying your trades. What do you do over and over and over? And that's why the guys that I'm working one-on-one with, I tell them to do certain things, because that's exactly what made me become successful. And so that's what I'm hoping you guys learn from this. But, so to start this off, you guys know, at least the guys that have been with me for, quite some time, you guys know that I draw in ceilings and floors. And what I'm always telling you guys is, don't ever trade near the floor. But look what I'm doing right here. I'm literally trading at the floor. And I feel like that's such a great, I don't know if you guys understand, because for me, got in, stuck in halt, and hesitated when it resumed, took a big loss, whatever, yada yada yada. But I know that I'm looking at this thing. I'm like, okay, cool. So this thing's up from $3.60, and it went to almost $10. In my head, these kind of trades, before I figured out how to deal with myself, these made me super greedy. Like, I'd be licking my lips, just like, dude, I want to make so much money. And it's funny because I'm trading with like 50 shares, like half size, which, I'm not knocking you guys that are trading with smaller size, but back then, to think about where I was, that's not even, it's not even a blip on the radar, and you really, when you are trading smaller size, you have to absolutely make sure that you're at the top of the move, because, okay, so cool, I want to take 50 shares at $6.60, and it goes to say 5. All right, cool, man. Like that's great. That's like, what is that? Like $80 or something like that. That's cool. Now imagine you take 50 shares, or I'm allowed to trade 100 shares. 100 shares, A plus setup, up at 10. You write it down to your first target, which is down here at 7. That's $300. You cover half. It's $150. Like you have to figure out how to work with yourself. And I get into this thing. I'm telling everybody, you don't trade. For those of you guys that are new, we have quite a few new members, and when on my charts, I prefer to use white instead of green. So these white candles are typically green candles. So when you're trading, you don't want this thing to be going, straight buying pressure, and especially into a halt. You do not want to short. Like, if something just goes up, this is what I call front side. And I start talking to people. I'm like, dude, why are you shorting front side? You want to start seeing these things that have longer wicks up the top, especially like smaller body candles with bigger wicks up on top. But just because there's bigger wicks up on top does not mean you take a trade. You need to know the levels to be trading in. And for me, I'm not gonna draw on anything, because I can't. But I can tell you right now, I guarantee that this is probably somewhere relatively close to the zone that you should be trading in. So really, the only place I should have even been looking to get into this trade is up in here, which it would have worked. I could have covered half, and to my rules now, I would have been stopped at break even. Okay, no problem, whatever. Hey, look at that. The second time. You're allowed to take the trade the second time going back to your zone. Look at that. I could have taken a trade, right in here. I don't want to take a trade on the front side. I want to wait for it to show me that it can't go over that level. It broke over this level with this. Then over here, stuffs. I had to get stuff of a whole dollar number. All right, I'm not mad at that. But also having patience. Like if you look at this cover is at like 8.15. My target's really down here, like almost $1 underneath it. But I got so shaken out. I'm so freaking worried about the money that I'm trading horribly, and like that's what I'm trying to teach you guys is really you guys need to stop worrying about the money, because none of you guys that I'm working with right now are like trading with like real big size. So like if you guys can get yourself to like, I could have made a good amount of, at that time, a good amount of money. Because, okay, I'm trading 100 shares, right? We identified, roughly these areas to trade. Okay, so say I do get in, right here with 100 shares. You don't need to be scaling into this stuff. I'm scaling into something where I'm using 100 shares. That's ridiculous. That shows me that I'm not confident in my setups, because I clearly don't have any experience. I'm drawing trend lines all over the damn place. This thing's just drawing all the shit. I'm short weakness. I clearly have no idea what I'm doing here. But you do not need to be sizing in. The only reason that people need to be scaling in is when you start trading with enough size that if, say, I go in with 10,000 shares and it's not trading with enough size or enough liquidity, I'm going to have a hard time getting a full size setup. And if it is a setup that deserves full size, you might have to scale into that. If you are not using, around 10,000 shares, really you should not be scaling into setups. But if I took a trade with 100 shares around here, 850, I cover down here at 7, so that's $1.50, so that's like 75 bucks. So I would have made 75 bucks. I would have stopped out, break even. Okay, no problem. Comes up here, I took a beautiful trade right at $9. Awesome. If I would have held it to where I should have, say $7.50. So that's another $1.50. That's another $75. That's 150 bucks right there on the day. Then if this goes up, stops me at break even, okay, cool. If it doesn't, it continues on. I cover half here, half down my next target, and the last little piece at the final target. And yeah, you need to be focusing on the setups, because if you trade the process and you're not making money at the very beginning, what you're doing is you are instilling values that are going to make you money in the long run. If you can start trusting yourself and trading correctly, then you can start to really start sizing up. The next setup is this. So I drew in a trend line. It did find a topping. How I prefer to do the trades now is it has to find a topping. Is this after? No, this is a pre-market trade. But what I need this thing. Realistically, this probably would have been the setup. I know that I don't have any of the wicks on the top, but I would imagine this probably had a wick on the top. This would have been the entry right in here. Even if it didn't have a wick, this still would have been probably the entry point, because I draw in, from here to there. I take a lower high entry, and then I'll cover half down here. But I didn't have the experience. I didn't understand how my setups worked, and I took a trade. But what I'm trying to teach my traders now is, what's worth your time. I'm trading this thing with 100 shares. So I'm trading at say 126. I made $10. Okay, I mean, for me, like, that's just it's a gamble. Like, I'm not even making, I'm not. For me, the real point of entry is going to be up closer near the highs. That's where you're going to make money at. That's where you get the discipline to follow your setups and make sure that you're getting near the top. Because for me, this is the ceiling. This is the floor. Okay, well, if you look right here, this is what I call no man's land. Oops, didn't really do that very good. This is called no man's land because it's in the middle of these two. I don't want to be in the middle. I want to be up around as close as I possibly can to the ceiling. That reduces my risk. It keeps me safer, and when you start using bigger size, it makes you more money. Next one. Alright, so write it open, does a push, gap and crap. Okay, that's cool. I guess I do have the levels drawn in. But once again, I'm kind of a stinge right now, where I am in my trading, because I really don't think I would take this trade, because like, I'm taking entry 55, I'm covering it, Okay, so at this point in time, I'm using 200 shares, but it's like I'm looking for 10 cents again. Like, for me, I'm not looking for anything really realistically under like 40 cents probably, and that's my first target. But I have a better entry up here. I get stopped out. How I trade now is obviously a little bit different. This is, for me, this is shorting weakness, because it had a topping up here, died, doji candle died, and I'm literally shorting the very bottom of this thing. When you start understanding how stocks move, they don't typically just die the way that a lot of these rooms tell you that they're gonna go up and they're just gonna tank and go to the floor. That's not how that shit works at all. Usually it's gonna have at least a curl and like a pop back up, and then kind of like what this thing did, where I get because I'm short in weakness, I get taken out where I should have taken the trade at. Even here is a little bit low compared to what I want to trade, because that's like $1.66. It's 14 cents. First target's 16. Yeah, it's not really. I don't know, but anyways, and this is another thing. For those of you that are sending me your charts, if you look at this, it's just like shit. You can't see how everything's looking. I don't want to go over these trades right now, but I'm going to pop to this real quick. This is a trade that I want to review here in a second. If you look, you have a whole picture, and like, for me, that's what you need to have on this kind of stuff, so that you can start to really read what you're actually doing. Then once again, I'm scaling in for really just no confidence. At least at this point, I am getting in towards the top, which is good. It had a topping up here, and I'm doing a much better job at holding. You can start seeing that, in the course of these trades, however long of a period of time these trades were, my trading's already getting a lot better. But I love to go back and do this kind of stuff, because it allows me to, I don't know, see my progress. But I think it's also very good for you guys, because you guys get to see where I was 4 years ago, and this is where I am now. And I got here because I'm trading correctly. Now I have a clear cut rules. I have 3 setups that I trade regularly. I'm working on multiple different setups now to add into that. But that's another thing is when you're adding in new setups. This might sound crazy to you guys, but really, I go back and do the exact same thing that I did before. I'm not going to go test a setup out with full size. I'm just not going to do it. And so for me, I go back like I was doing with these things. Okay, well, 100, 200 shares because who gives a shit if that goes against me? I can give it a lot of wiggle room. Okay, I lost 30, 40, 50 bucks, whatever. Like, I'm not going to have that big of, range because I have much tighter risk now, but you guys get the picture. So, this stock comes up, right? This is also a more advanced setup, but this is my chart, so it pops, fails the pre-market high. I take a trade. It doesn't hit my target, so I don't cover anything. But the way that I trade now, that's 50 cents on full size. I'm not taking a loss. So this thing comes up, I cover break even. If it didn't give me a setup, then I don't trade it. But this thing came up, and I was like, hey, if this run stops, which you gain the experience from time in the market. I was like, all right, if this thing stuffs, this is exactly what I'm going to do. And I had this pre-planned in my head. This is not just like I just made shit up like on the fly. I'm like, hey, this goes up and runs over this high and stuffs out and then reacts and slams right back below. I'm getting right back in, and that's exactly what happened. I cut it, break even, and literally like a half a second later pops up, slams back down. I'm right back in. I had a little premature covered again. Didn't hit my third target. I probably missed it right here. Went back up. And then, I'm sorry guys, I'm super tired, but it shook me out, and it's right before the close of the day, and so I was just like, I'm not. I got shit to go do. I covered, and then yeah, okay, cool. That sucks. I could have made another 30 cents on however much size I was in at this point, but at the end of the day, you just you get what the market gives you, and like realistically, I mean, if you think about this, let's go back to the previous ones, right? So the last one I was trading with 200 shares, right? So let's just say I was in 200 shares at 350. Remember, I cover half at the 1 minute target. Okay, cool. So I'm covering little over $3. I think it is right at $3. So awesome. $50. Stop goes break even. All right, goes down. So I'm going to cover another half down here. That is like 255. That's almost $1 away. I'm still in 100 shares. Okay, so I cover 50 shares here. That's almost another $1. So there's $100 right there. And then this thing comes up. I'm just a little shy of that. So would that'd be 50 shares. That wouldn't be $50. It'd be like $40. So what is that? $140. Okay, I mean that's pretty. I mean that's nothing to be mad about. So, and then here's another one. So this thing pops up. I got a good read on this thing. It's just below $3. The volume starts dying out, and I was just like, dude, this is not going to get over $3. Took the short, literally damn near top tick the thing. Covered half. Cover the other half over here right before the close, because I guess I just missed all of this shit over here. I'm not really sure. For those guys that watch my stuff, I put range orders. I might have been busy this day. I'm really not that sure, but I feel like I want to show you guys this stuff and show you that if you guys just allow yourselves the time in the market to learn from your experience, to learn from, you know, these shitty trades. That if you guys allow yourself enough time in the market, that you guys can absolutely start, doing really well. And I don't know, like that's the name of the game. Like this really is, it's a game. It's like when I was in kickboxing. I didn't become a 14-time national champion the first year that I started fighting. It took me 12 years to get as good as I got. I never really got that good at any other sports, but in kickboxing it took me years to get good. In this I've been trading for 6 years, and I'm finally well, I found success, but then, that ego and trying to keep up with the Joneses almost ruined everything. And I finally took a step back. I was like, hey, you know what, dude? Like, you don't need, just because your neighbor's got a new car or, whatever it is, like, who gives a shit what they have? Why I got into trading is financial freedom. And for me, that's exactly what I found. I paid off my credit cards, paid off my cars. The only debt I have is this house. Once I pay that off, I am financially free. And then, I don't know, I like my job. I'm working a full-time job still. I'm teaching, but for me, I love my job. I get to work with family every single day, and I have a blast there, really. I get trade stocks there, and I love teaching and helping people. You just need to find what is it that you want in life, and how do you obtain it. Maybe you guys do only want to trade stocks. I've been there. I've done that. It's super stressful. It's not really my cup of tea. Yeah, I can make a lot of money, and I was talking to a student the other day. He's like, yeah, but you can make X amount of money, and you know that you're confident that you can do that. I'm like, yes, I am very confident that I can make a lot of money when the opportunity is there. But when the opportunity isn't there, but the bills are still due, and your family still needs food, I didn't go about it correctly. I didn't have a stockpile of money, and so I don't know. I could have done that. I could, this time around, that I could have stockpiled up money, but for me, I was like, well, I'm not in a rush. Why not just pay off all my stuff so I don't have any debt, and I can just, I don't know, me and my wife love traveling around the world, and that's what I do. And so it made sense for me, but each person needs to find their own way of going about doing things. So I hope that you guys learned something from this. Go easy on yourself, because I remember how I was when I was trading like this. I would kick myself down, call myself horrible names, but then once you have a shift in your mindset, and you're like, no, you know what? I'm not stupid. I'm not a moron. I'm not whatever the hell you want to call yourself. No, I'm doing the most difficult job in the world, and I'm learning. Be nice to yourself. Like, imagine, I can't remember who the hell told me this, but they're like, whenever you're talking to yourself, imagine you're talking to your best friend or your wife or your husband or whoever's really important to you. Imagine they screwed up. How would you talk to them? And that's how you need to talk to yourself, because if you put bad energy out there, that's exactly what you're going to get back. You're just getting a bunch of bullshit. And I truly believe in that. Once you can make a shift in your mindset, and you truly believe in yourself, and that you can figure things out, like, go back and look at your charts. If your charts look like this, I can tell you right now, you have no idea what you're doing. So you should not be trading with big size. You should be trading with as much, like, the least amount of size possible. I sized up way too quick at the very beginning of my trading, and it worked out, but like, I had years of fight experience that really carried over into my trading, that helped me out a lot. But you want to make sure that you can last as long as possible in this game, because it's going to take you years to really figure out how to deal with your emotions, and how to find your own style of trading, really. So I hope this worked and or helped you out, and I'll talk to you guys later.